Good afternoon. It's Bank Holiday Monday, so always grateful when somebody turns up on a bank holiday, especially when it's a supposedly 34 degrees hitting today. So I think we're in the what it would be cool in our offices, except my husband calls my office, because it's only 9 foot square, Wembley Arena, because he's put a bright strip light up here, so it does get really warm with the door shut. And it's Bank Holiday Monday, 25th of May at noon.
It's,
And
it's
we're
also
here.
it's also Towel Day.
Is it as in
Towel Day, as in Douglas Adams. Yeah,
as in what? Sorry,
Towel Day, as in Douglas Adams.
doubles.
Douglas Adams,
Oh,
Hitchhiker's Guide
Douglas
to the
Adams.
Galaxy.
I thought you
Yeah.
said double sevens.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
no.
Douglas Adams. Why is that? That was my first thought when you said about Towel Day.
Hmm.
Was the what's the significance of
I don't
Douglas
know why it's
Adams
the
being
date.
25th of May?
Um, I don't actually know why it's the 25th of May.
Oh,
Uh,
No, no idea.
was it?
But it's the most useful thing you can have in the galaxy.
Of course,
Yeah,
absolutely, and a dressing gown.
that's
When
yeah.
you've got bulldozers bulldozing your house. Yes. So I'm delighted we've got AA Abbott, Helen, and David and Ryan, who are all from, David is the chair of New Street Authors. I'm one of the most recent, I don't know if I am the most recent, but one of the most recent online members. And I do hope to get to a meeting at some point. It's only, as Tim reminded me last night, because he works for the railways, so as his spouse, I get free travel on Chiltern Railways. So he said, "Oh, you go up there for free."
you
So I
could.
will. So David, good afternoon. I'm very grateful that I know this is you write in the mornings, as I do now, write in the mornings, and then you're kind of free then ish from midday. So can you give us some background to New Street Authors? What were you doing up to that point, and then you decided to set it
Well,
up?
I've always run some sort of writing group, and it kind of reflected my interests at the time. So I did one for theatre writers for a long, long time. Then I got interested in self-publishing, so it seemed natural to create one for self-publishing.
Mm,
And so New Street Authors isn't a writers group; it's a publishers group.
right.
Slightly different emphasis. So I think most members are members of other writing groups, which deal with their writing, and then
Mm,
they come to us and we help people with advice, support in the actual self-publishing process.
okay. So it is only open to self-published authors
Well,
in
there
theory.
was quite a big debate about that because we've had members who have not published, but of
Right.
course they need help to publish their first book.
Yes. So
So,
the idea is that they will become indie authors,
so
but
we've had one or
independent.
two members over the years who've not managed to publish anything,
Right.
but only one or two, and that was only because they couldn't finish their book.
Okay. Oh,
Um, well,
I feel
a
I feel,
marathon, isn't it, to finish a book? It's
oh,
climbing
absolutely.
Everest. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm on the first one. I'm 11,500 words through the first one of 60 books in a series.
It's an
Um,
absurd plan.
I know. Well, I've created this world, and I don't know if any of you knew of a romance author called Jane Wenham Jones, who was a good friend of mine, and unfortunately she got cancer twice and didn't make it the second time. And so I've created a village which is based on Western Turville near here, called Wenham, and the chap who lives in the manor is Mr. Wenham Jones. So that's sort of an homage to Jane. And so I've created this a bit like a 60 book. I know we're going off writing groups, so it's 60 book sci-fi series where you create this whole world. Although I do mention Aylesbury a few times, um, but yes, I can't remember how I got. Oh yeah, we were talking about not writing books, so I totally empathise. I've got so many. I've got more I haven't finished than ones I have finished. I've actually only got 6 books. These novelettes after that.
I'm currently trying to finish five novels, 6 novels.
All some or all of which you want to launch at Self Pub Fest in October. You are launching
Yes,
before then, aren't you?
The one that so yeah.
So yes, sorry, I interrupted you. You set up New Street Authors for publishing to help.
Yes, for self-publishing. It's not when you're a writer. It can be very lonely, stuck in your 9 by 9 foot cell, as it were. So it's nice to sort of just connect with people, even just socially, to say, you know, how do I go about marketing? And the other person says, oh, I don't know either. Well, fine.
I'm going to move on to Helen for a second, because we're getting a bit of crackling on your mic. You're not wearing a. It's on your computer, isn't it, David?
Fine, it's here.
Ooh. Yeah, getting a bit of crackle on it.
It might be next door. I've got builders. Next door I have builders in.
Okay.
So all I can hear are bangs and thumps.
Oh, that could be it. Okay, not to worry. Well, we'll subtitle you if we get stuck.
Right.
So how many members has NSA got now?
23 or 24, I think.
Oh, good. It's lovely actually seeing the chat, because I belong to the Society of Authors. I had a traditional publishing deal for that, which meant I could then become I can't remember what it is, associate member or something for the Society of Authors. And it was self-published. It was traditionally published, and then didn't do as well. It was not a hybrid at all, but it was a publisher who was better known for crime and its women's fiction. They had a women's fiction imprint which they lost at some point. They decided to close at some point. So it's now just under one name, and it didn't do as well as really as we wanted. Although they wanted the second book, and I said no, actually I'll have it back. But the group I belong to, I don't want to diss it too much, but you can't. It's very limited as to what kind of self-promotion. It's just been set up that way, where you have to be very. I feel I've actually sort of backed away from it, because I've actually been told by the person who runs this part of it that I should if I want to mention or promote Self Pub Fest, then I should set up a separate WhatsApp group for it, which I can't do unless I mention it in the group, because otherwise how do people find out about it? So I've kind of backed off from that. But I love the fact that New Street Authors is so supportive of everybody. Oh, you've got a new book out, great, let's go and do an event. And you do, because a lot of writing groups are just, they meet once a month. They might have a spin-off, as Chiltern Writers does. They have a spin-off of 2 critique groups, which is great, because I think probably once a quarter they have a manuscript evening where you read out, but you only have 5 minutes. Whereas the critique group with fewer people has more time each time. And I know that also you have alpha, the group are alpha and beta readers. So once you finished something, you, David, most recently have put a shout out. Can somebody?
Yes.
Please?
Yes, I at a certain stage I get a final beta read through it, because after a while you can't see the wood for the trees, can you? There might be a spelling mistake I just can't see, so you put it past people. That's just not really editing. It's the final check.
I think being writers, we're more critical, and we can say, because we know you, we can say, oh, this doesn't work, it's clunky, and that's more useful, isn't it?
You actually see my comments.
I mean, when I started off New Street Authors, it was Andy Conway and I.
Right.
I was doing an MA in writing, and he was one of the lecturers. So he gave me lifts home. No, I gave him a lift home after a while. And he started trying to persuade me to go self-publishing. And I came up with all those arguments for vanity publishing.
Okay.
Which of course aren't relevant, but I didn't know what self-publishing was at the time.
Yeah.
He gave me David Gorgren's Let's Get Digital book to read.
Right.
And I got to page 10 and thought, I'll buy one of I'll put this Kindle on my Christmas list.
Yeah.
I got to page 15 and I said, no, I'll buy a Kindle now. And I got to page 20 and I was formatting HTML. I'd started. I became a complete evangelist, one of those converts that goes on and on. And we formed a group all before I finished the MA, I think.
Well,
So it was very quick.
just explain what your view of vanity publishing is. What your choice was back then.
Money should always go from the reader to the bookshop to the publisher to the writer, and never the other way. So if somebody comes to you and says, "Oh, I'll publish your book for £2,000," which I've heard, run away, because it's wrong. You're being taken advantage of. You'll end up with a box of books that you can't sell in your spare room. Because writers are ripped off. So many people want to publish or be published that we are very vulnerable as a breed to being had by charlatans. And every year I meet somebody who's paid £2,000 to be published, and they're just being ripped off. It's appalling.
Well, there was something I saw, I think it was on Threads last night. I get notifications, I don't actively go in there, but I saw it that there was a lady who said, I can't remember what she called herself now, not recruitment manager, but she's not necessarily commissioning editor, but worked for a something and something publisher that sounded like a two-person band, because she was saying that a man had set up this company. I blocked her now because I just thought it was so sounded so dodgy, because she said, I work for this publisher, although there was nothing on her profile, and she's inviting all these people to get published by them. No mention of money, but no mention of a website. Her description is something different, and she's tagging in different countries. So on one post she's tagging in Los Angeles, in another post she's tagging in London, on another post, and of course all these people are then going, oh yes, I'd love you to publish me, I'd love this, that and the other. And she said, and this chap who runs this publishing company is moving from one place is in the process of moving from one place to another. So once he's moved, it'll all be up and running. And I just thought, and the trouble is, I can't then say this sounds so dodgy because, well, these poor people. I mean, hopefully, if she does then say it's going to cost you £1,000 to do it, and there is a distinction between vanity publishing and buying a publishing service. And this is the fine line that I'm finding with, there's a new chap to Self Pub Fest called Malcolm Alexander, who he did his Spotlight. He's the latest Spotlight. And he technically has a publisher, because for me, I think the difference between buying a service is that you've sent them all the information, the cover design, the everything else. Because you don't know how to self-publish, so they've done that bit for you. You have access to your bookshelf on KDP. You get all your royalties. So all you've done is paid whatever it is, a couple of £100 for them to publish your book. But you retain everything.
Yeah, that's the tricky part, because you wear more than one hat. So where you're wearing your writer's hat, the money should come to you. But if you're self-publishing, you take that hat off and put your publisher's hat on. Yeah. And when you're wearing that hat, you pay an artist for a cover, you pay someone to edit, you pay someone to do some formatting, let's say. Yeah. So it feels like you're paying out in the same way that vanity publishing does. So it's quite a tricky definition. And it's harder now, because traditional publishing houses have started to monetize their slush pile. So they'll take their slush pile and say, would you like to be published by, insert famous traditional publishing house? Please send us £2,000. Yeah, it's absolutely outrageous that they're becoming vanity presses.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the question I say to define it with anybody wanting to be involved in Self Pub Fest is, do you get the royalties directly from Amazon or via a publisher? And for me, that's the bottom line. If a publisher is giving them royalties, then they are hybrid published, or to me, that's not pure self-publishing.
So when I occasionally say I've published somebody else, in fact I haven't, because they've got their own KDP account. So I've just worked as a service provider, really.
Exactly.
I think accounts is the problem with this. Certainly with my website, with KDP, with Amazon, they can bring in affiliates on your account. So you think, here I am, I own the copyright for this, I own all the materials for this. Then suddenly somebody else has joined. And that can lead to a very sticky situation when you try and wrestle your book back from this other person.
Right.
You have to beware about any sort of affiliate or member that tries to join. I've got rid of 6 of them yesterday from my website.
Wow.
Because what it does is it waters down your copyright.
I've never heard of this.
No, I haven't
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
How do they muscle in then on your KDP account?
They send you a request, and somebody in Amazon decides that they're going to process that request in the positive.
Oh, that's awful. I mean,
Yeah.
I keep getting these emails saying somebody has asked to be an affiliate member of something. Can't remember if it's Amazon or Facebook or something else. And I just ignore them.
Yes, there's a fake Meta Facebook email going around saying about affiliate.
But it's a way of getting the fake name in front of everybody, such that they can then take over your account.
Good God.
It's the way it goes. Yeah.
They obviously haven't got down to Wake yet.
Well, they must, if they've got to Stark, they've gone past Bailey and thought, I'm not worthy. Unless they're, well, they can say working backwards, they'd have got to you already, David.
I don't think it works quite like that.
No.
I think they're just picking names out of a hat.
Ryan, as you're on camera, you belong to 2 different writing groups. Is there a reason why? Which did you join first? And
I can't remember, to be fair, Morgan. I think I joined New Street Authors first. I started off as a working guy who was writing in his spare time, no thoughts of publishing, then decided to publish. So I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And I met another friend of ours called Lee, who put me in touch with New Street Authors and said, you ought to join. These people have got a wealth of knowledge. Yeah. So I then found that because I've been in business analysis all my life, I've worked out what I had to do. But there's still nuggets of information come from New Street Authors that help me along as a writer in a group of writers. But there's also the aspect that David was talking about, and that is the socialization. This is I haven't quite got 9 by 9. I've got 6 by 6, right. And I'm sitting in here quite a lot, and people move outside the window, and I think, should I have a look? And I've got to get on with my writing. So I joined something called the Redditch Writers, who recently they have lots of authors come to speak at Redditch Library. We had Lee Child the other day. Redditch. Yeah, as in one of the greatest towns in the history of the universe. Well known for its towels.
Where do you live, Ryan?
I don't know, actually, just outside. But so I joined that group because it was in quotes novices, right. People who wanted to write, who'd never published anything or had self-published a couple of books and had no idea how good, bad or indifferent they were, and we could talk to each other. We would meet in the library. So we do 2 meetings a month. We do a first Tuesday of the month, which is usually a critique of a submission made the previous month, 2,000 words. And we have a theme to follow. I've got to finish mine off today. And then the third Tuesday in every month is a workshop where we steal the projector from the library, we bang it up on the wall, we put a laptop in, and we start going through subjects like characterization, storytelling, tension, writing. Right. But one of the key things that comes out of it is we have a diverse membership in terms of skills and abilities, but very few of them know how to read. A lot of the New Street Authors attend various reading events, and we've learned how to read. We've done the patting our knee and reading our stuff so that it all comes out nice and evenly and people can hear what we're saying. And it was surprising when one of our flock, a teaching assistant, babbled so fast you couldn't hear a word she was saying. I said, well, just slow down and beat it out on your knees as you read it. And she said, it's really helpful. And we're getting these little techniques coming through, and none of us should be arrogant enough not to learn something. And I learn something every time I go.
Or to be reminded of something.
Or to be reminded, yeah.
We've had performance for writers workshops, which Lee and I gave. And then during the pandemic, I really dropped out of practice of doing readings. despite the fact that I've done acting. So you do need to go back to the basics occasionally and be reminded of how to do things.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about it is when you delve into these people, I'm not going to call them amateurs, I'm not going to call them anything other than novices. Some of them are really good but don't know it.
Right.
And it's nice to build that sort of talent and encourage them. And yeah, I've done KDP, I've self-published, I've got loads of things behind me there somewhere. Yeah. And therefore I can help them with the little bits that they don't know. But the English teachers are helping me with the little bits I don't know. So it works out very symbiotic.
Well, you pick up ticks as well, don't you? I mean,
yeah.
You know, I've published loads and loads of books, and then I suddenly started to capitalize things incorrectly.
Yeah.
I needed someone to go, "Oi, Dave, you don't do that."
Yeah.
Also, we have a lot of knowledge we don't necessarily remember. It's a bit like a language. You know, we've just come back from Spain, and my Spanish, I used to speak it not fluently by any means, but I was really trying to. I hadn't practiced beforehand, and I'd known for months that we were going. So we're going to Lanzarote in October. So then I'm between now and then I said I'd really brush up. And I think if you're sitting in on anything, you're maybe relearning things. You think, oh yeah, I do know this, but I'd forgotten, or things have changed. Because in the book world, things change all the time. And so it's good to know a different version of something that actually is more useful than the way we've been doing it, or something like that.
The beauty for me is that because New Street Authors is so different to Redditch writers, I learn both ways.
And then you can pass it on. You can pass it from NSA to Redditch writers.
Yeah.
Pass on your knowledge.
And the other way, of course.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen very often the other way, but yeah.
I mean, exactly. We've started a prose critique group. So a proper writers' workshop as a sort of subgroup. There's been a poetry group running from New Street Authors for quite a while now. So maybe we're moving toward the writing end of the spectrum, and hopefully we'll stay in the publishing end.
Hopefully, because I think that's NSA's USP.
Main thing.
Helen, as our prolific crime thriller author, one of the prolific crime thriller authors of the group, how long have you been a member of a writing group? Not necessarily NSA, but we'll come to that. How long have you been in writing groups, and why? Can you remember why you joined them? At what part of your career, and why you joined them, and how your writing group membership has changed over the years?
Well, that's a big question, and you might get a big answer from me on that.
Right.
And I first joined a writing group nearly 20 years ago after going on a one-day creative writing course at Bristol University. And that was when I was coming back to writing after bringing up a family with a small child around. I had zero time to write or even to read, but my life got more relaxed. So I was able to come back to the writing that I dabbled in my younger years. And I'd just been on a personal development course. What came out of this personal development course was that writing was something that would give me joy. And I built up a habit by doing 30 minutes a day. But another thing that came out of the personal development course was that you have to talk to people who make you feel a bit uncomfortable and push out of your comfort zone. And during the course, you're encouraged to ask people to have lunch with you if you felt a bit uncomfortable with them, which in my case would usually be because I felt intimidated by somebody. So anyway, there was a really glamorous lady called Nikki Davis on this one-day creative writing course. And I thought, sod it, and asked her out to lunch. And it turned out that she had set up a writing group and she invited me to go. And I nearly didn't go to this critique group for a second time because they were all so good. I mean, they were just brilliant. They were so way ahead of me. But when I passed this on to her, she encouraged me to persist. And that's how I ended up being a member of the Bristol Fiction Writers Group and learning a lot from other members. And hopefully, as time went on, giving them good information too.
Mm. And that's the thing.
If you're in this group and someone asks you out for lunch, you know that you make them uncomfortable.
Only this particular group. But yes, it's interesting because I ended up going on this personal development course because I'd got colleagues who had gone on it. And one of them was very enthusiastic and evangelical about it. But I thought, well, she's kind of enthusiastic and evangelical about anything. So I didn't bite then and sign up for it. Mm. But another colleague then asked me out to lunch. It was only later on I realised. And he said it had changed his life. So that was why I ended up going on it.
Do you think, obviously, I don't like to mention the L word too often, but we did have a shift 2020. We had a shift in, because most of us were using Skype terribly up to that point, and Zoom took over. Had been obviously in the background for some time, and everything then ended up going digitally. And Tim does a form of self-help, kind of a helping group 3 times a week, which is why I'm able to have Tuesday, Thursdays and Saturday evenings here doing things. And his Saturday used to be in person in Aylesbury and then went online and has always stayed online. He's set up one on a Thursday in person in Aylesbury. So that's in addition. Did you find, Helen, that when you did you switch from in person to online, and were you able, did it switch back to in person, or
yes yes and yes. We did go on to Zoom. I ended up organising it after that because I was the first person in our writers group to get a Zoom account. That sounds terribly quaint now, but I actually knew how to use it. So I ended up running meetings when we weren't able to meet in person. And then we did go back to meeting in person again. But I have to say, the New Street authors were a valuable lifeline at a time when we couldn't meet in person, because there always used to be a monthly meeting in a pub for the New Street authors, but David switched to a weekly meeting on Zoom, which was really good.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday, yeah, so it still goes.
I mean, we moved from meeting in person once a month to now we meet more than once a week, but little subgroups meet more than once a week, always on Zoom, because during the pandemic, our the personnel changed. So suddenly going to the same pub didn't really work anymore.
Right.
We got somebody up in Edinburgh, I was down in Bristol, somebody moved to Yorkshire, you're in Aylesbury. It doesn't work. But I think there are moves to have in-person meetings for specific tasks. So the pros group wants to meet in person.
And maybe I'll come up to Birmingham for them then, because I used to go to the monthly meeting in Birmingham. And at that time, I was quite often working in Birmingham. I'd lived there in the past. So I had perhaps a stronger connection to the city than I do now. But Birmingham's such a fantastic, buzzy, interesting place to visit. Sorry, Ryan, I realise that's how you feel about Redditch.
Yeah.
But I think Birmingham comes close.
Different coloured towels, that's all.
I mean, part of the reason, I think, is I packed in the day job to become a writer full time. Mm-hmm. So suddenly these Thursday meetings, which were just down the road from where I used to work, became inconvenient for me.
Is that why we used to meet there? Because it was near your work?
Yeah. And that's why we met on a Thursday, because I took Friday off. So it was the start of the weekend for me.
For me, there's a bit of a dichotomy here, because I'm not very good at meeting people in person. So I quite like Zoom. I can cope on Zoom.
Yeah.
I used to be a business analyst, but I've got to get out. I've got to see people. So
we have members who've got the opposite opinion, who don't like Zoom and like meeting in person. So I think the group has a weird dynamic now.
Pros and cons, aren't there?
You've got to adapt.
Yeah. David, have you got any advice for anybody wanting to set up a writing group, whether it's in person or on Zoom? Do's and don'ts, things to think about, committee?
Find a pub that's convenient for you and a date that's convenient for you, and then tell people.
Right.
and they will come.
Yeah.
That's it, really. It doesn't require anything. I mean, you've got to do a bit of storming and norming, I think it's called.
Okay.
Where you brainstorm and then you decide how you're going to run a group, because every group will have a different dynamic to it, a different way it works. So we were talking about the pros group subgroup we're going to set up, and I was saying we almost can't decide anything until we've had a few meetings. We can't even decide when we should have meetings until we've had a few meetings.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a chicken and egg problem. We were saying how many words can we submit each time, and we've kind of plucked a number out of the air to say up to 5,000 maximum. But people here have been saying 2,000 words, and I think maybe that's better.
Because also it depends. If you've got the person that Ryan mentioned who speaks at 1,000,000 miles an hour, she probably would have got 5,000 words done in 20 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it is.
You wouldn't have heard any of them. It was really that bad that you wouldn't have heard any of them. Yeah. But now she does 2,000 words, and it's nice and measured, and she can stand up in front of the class and tell them how to read.
Right.
I mean, I want to use the Milford method, which is you do your submissions on paper, as a document on emails like now. So you can read, so you're judging the writing rather than the writing and the performance.
Yes, that's what Nitpickers does. They email out in advance, and then you can read it beforehand if you want to, or just sit and listen. I like having it on paper, so if I know someone's not going to bring a copy, and we all do, then I like to red pen it.
Well, we've had a change of personnel in Redditch Writers just recently, and I seem to have fallen on de facto manager now. But what I've done is I've set up a Google account for Redditch Writers, and anyone who joins it gets locked into the pinned subfolder and the submissions subfolder, so they can submit their own submissions via Google, and they can read everybody else's. So we've tried to automate it such that nobody has to start sending emails around saying, where's the submissions, what are we talking about, and when are we meeting next? And I think if we can get all that lot out of the way, we concentrate on the physical work, on the reading, on the writing. That's
a good idea. There's Google Docs, presumably.
It's Google Docs, Google Drive, and Gmail, yes, because it's free.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. I use Gmail, so it's for my emails, and it's I find it user friendly.
Yeah, so I could just send you a link to the submissions folder, and you would open the link, and it would be in your Google Drive, just like one of your own drives. Sure. And that's how we're working it, because the other thing that can't be underestimated is the level of people's skills. They're not all brilliant, and they're not all rubbish. They're all somewhere in the middle, and it's a very big balancing act getting a writing group that satisfies everybody.
Really strange that people aren't taught how to critique other people's work. All of the evening classes I've been to, all the writers' workshops, the MA, only once has that been mentioned, which is extraordinary.
Well, we just ask people to do it as a feedback sandwich, because you want everybody to experience something positive as well as suggestions for improvement.
What we do is that at the end of every submission, we've got up to 5 questions that the author can ask. Do you think I over-egged this pudding? Do you think the plot hangs together? What would you add to this if you were doing it? Any question they can think of that might help them to develop the writing better.
Yeah,
the teaching I came across was 4 things, actually, which I think is only really 3. You must say something that you like about it, point out what works. You must say what you liked less. The 3rd one was ask a question, but I don't think that's really relevant. And then you make your suggestions. And that the author isn't there to defend themselves. The author is there to extract as much advice and information as they can.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Exactly. So, luckily, most authors take it in that spirit, and they're not defensive about it.
At least they don't show they're defensive.
We're going to be, you want to get the critical feedback at that point, rather than publish it and then have an Amazon review, which is, unless it's inaccurate, unless it's more than inaccurate, because Amazon doesn't take any notice of inaccurate reviews.
You need to
don't
give,
want anybody.
Yeah. You need to give in the way you want to receive. So Andy and I talked about, well, I'll read yours if you read mine. And by chance, he finished his book first and said, would you read this? And I thought, right, here's my opportunity. So I dropped everything. I spent a full solid week on it, gave it back to him, my critique. He was shocked by how much work I put into it. But of course, it was completely selfish. He now had to do the same for me.
Yeah.
And critiquing other people's work helps you do for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
When I edited for Bloodhound, once I was allocated an author, they were then with me for as long as both of us were with Bloodhound, and I did see an improvement in most of the authors. There was one called Anita Waller who actually ended up going to Boldwood, and then has gone back to Bloodhound because Boldwood wanted her to write 4 books a year, and she couldn't write that. There was more pressure on her with Boldwood, because they are a wonderfully successful machine, but for her there was too much. So she's gone back to Bloodhound, and I think I did probably about a dozen books with her, and she's in pretty much all of them. It would go from her to Tara, who was at the time was the editing manager, and then it would come to me. But Anita would message me and she'd say, I still haven't got my head round point of view. So she'd have a scene where we'd go into at least 2 heads when we've got one main character. And I said, that's your not style, but that's the thing I love about you, Anita. Is that you will, and she said, I'll never get point of view. And I said, that's absolutely fine. Says, I'm here to fix it, but that's absolutely fine. But most people would say, and my direct clients as well, they would say, I've learned, even just from working with me once, that they would learn so much, because I do edit something as a reader and a writer. So in the comments, there might be, or this feels a little flat, or you're telling instead of showing, how about this? But then I'll put funny, love it, cracking, clever, that kind of thing. So I will edit it as both, as a reader and a writer. Because I'd rather give too much information and they use half of it, or disagree with me on 50%, than not. If I say I edit for the 100th reader, 99 readers won't notice something, but there'll always be one who will. And I want a book to be, especially if they're going to put me in the acknowledgements or tag me in as a contributor on Amazon, I want a book to shine. The trouble is, once it goes back to the author, not through Bloodhound, because it would come back as a PDF, so it would be how the proofreader had left it, pretty much, with up to 30 changes for me to approve or otherwise, and from the author. But once it goes back as the final Word document to the author, I've then got no control as to what they do with it thereafter. So if there are mistakes that I have picked up and they haven't changed, then I can't do anything about it. But I would rather give too much. I think as critique, I would, from beta readers, I would much prefer too much. And if half a dozen people say the same thing, then I need to sit up and pay attention.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do as well. I've got a lot of beta readers, and if they're all pretty much saying the same thing, I'd definitely make a change.
I mean, you've just got to put your ego aside and not have a monopoly on right. And as many changes as I can suggest. I won't say you have to make these changes. It's all suggestions that somebody else can make. They can say, no, that's tosh. Don't want to do it. Because it's their book. It's not my book.
Well, that's the difference with self-publishing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The writer has the final say, not the editor of the traditional publishing house.
Yeah.
Because traditional publishing house, if the writer doesn't make the changes, they say, well, we're not publishing you.
Yeah.
So the writer has to.
One of our members, NSA members, has got that problem at the moment.
Yeah.
Where mistakes have been found, and the publisher's refusing to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And the member can't do anything about it, which is really it's not good on the publisher. The fact that they're aware that there's something wrong, and for simple changes they're not going to do anything about it, which I love about self-publishing. Because if a beta reader, because I'm going to send my books back out to beta readers who haven't read them before, all the published ones, and going to re-edit them, because as time goes by we see things that we wouldn't have seen at the time. And I'm sure, Helen, if you go back through your early books, you think, oh, I'd like to do. But I say they're like university children who go off to university. We've had them for this long, and we have to trust that they're going to be okay, and that people are going to like them. And you have to get to a point where you let your manuscript go.
Indeed.
Nurture them every now and then. Ryan, can you think of any downsides to belonging to a writing group?
Well, the main downside at the moment is that I did 43 years of business analysis. I was a manager. I was looking after projects. I was doing all this admin work in between doing my job. Now everyone expects me to do all the management and all the admin of the group. And there's a lot of people who can take one step backwards. And that to me is the major problem, because if you're not careful, it interrupts the time that you can spend on writing. I like to do every afternoon if I can. And I don't get that because there's so much other work I've got to do. So that's a downside. Right. The other downside is an infinite number of cats and infinite amount of herding.
Okay. I'm so glad you found not only one downside, but at least two downsides.
Yeah, but basically, because we've had a member leave, the member was actually belonged to the library. He worked at the library. He's now left, so he doesn't do the organisation anymore. And he was using his work email address to collect all the information together. He's not allowed via GDPR to give us everybody's email address. No. So we're in a bit of a flux where I'm trying to get hold of people whose details I don't know. So that leaves me with an admin problem, and I'm trying to shy away from that. I don't want to run all the workshops. I don't want to have all the equipment. I don't want to be the guy who knows everything. I don't mind contributing.
Yeah. This is why I used to be on Beacon Lit, and they're one of the charities that Self-Pub helps, which is a literary festival every July, and they raise money from that. They raise money for the local libraries, and this is, I used to be on the committee, and I'd sit there, and every now and then I'd be asked a question, but I'd go to say something, and they're all full of ideas. I mean, it's great because they're all full of ideas and they're all chit-chatting, and I, as David knows, from our 2 hours, 23 minutes and 53 second spotlight, that I can talk for England. And I would go to hour-long session or up to an hour sessions, and I'd hardly say anything. And I thought it's been running really well without me up to that point. I'm more than happy to contribute. But I was sitting there and travelling from Northampton to go to the meeting and then drive back again. And see family as well during the day, and so I then came off, and I haven't joined any committees. Other than
that, our main problem was, as I say, the guy left the library, but he'd also, I don't think I'm causing him any problems, libeling him, slandering him, whichever this is. He didn't make any friends while he was there, because he was good at getting authors into the library, inviting people into the library to talk about authors, have author talks, sell books and so on. And they're a library. And Redditch is second to Worcester. Worcester's got a huge, great library called The Hive, and it wasn't getting the attention. So we ended up having this situation where Redditch was falling behind Worcester, and they were actively, no, that I can't say that. They were not making it easy for everybody.
Right.
And said guy left. To the point where I was actually thinking of joining the Birmingham Writers Group.
Right.
Yeah, because it would serve my purposes more, which is a real shame.
Well,
and as I say, we got Lee Child in there 4 weeks ago, sitting in the library. I had a chat with him, got my photo taken with him. He's got my book, I've got his book. Because of this one guy who they've let go.
Well, libraries are funny, aren't they? Because funny in the weird sense. Because when I came up with the idea last October of Self Pub Fest, I went to, as soon as I'd got something printed, I'd got some information and a website set up, I went into Aylesbury Library, only with, I don't have any to hand, but 6 to an A4 page, so that size of leaflets. And I said, I'm running a non-profit book festival. Could I leave you some leaflets? And the lady went, okay, give me a couple and I'll put them in the, probably,
so
that's A5, isn't it? So,
and we got Lee Child right next to each other. Yeah.
And Tim Weaver.
Tim Weaver. And we had TM Logan. Who else is the other one on there? Jess Shannon. We've had loads of people there.
Wow.
But it's all going to go by the wayside now, because there is I really don't want to say what I want to say.
No.
There are people in the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the word that springs to my mind is ego. But anyway.
I wouldn't say that. Okay. I couldn't possibly comment.
No.
I'm with David that these writers' groups need to be more personal, more intimate, more cozy, in a pub, in a separate event, not affiliated to anything, just a whole group of people who want to write and read, sitting together, having a chin wag and practicing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do that.
Because especially if you pick a Monday or, a non-busy day, and pubs always have rooms that are quieter, whether it's upstairs or at the back, and they have areas that are quieter that you can do whatever you want. And most probably wouldn't charge if they know they're going to get 15, 20 people in who are going to buy at least drink. But Aylesbury, one of my writing ladies, she said, I'm going into town. This was a few weeks later. I'm going into town, it was beginning of this year. I'm going to town at lunchtime. I'll pop into the library, and I gave her some of these, again, small flyers, and I'll have a go. She emailed me a couple of hours later, and I've actually passed this on to the library manager, who was still very reluctant. She took a poster, but still very reluctant. And she said it was like I was asking them to donate a kidney. And
that's how we feel.
We don't have book festivals in Aylesbury. And so this was the first time, and it's the Holiday Inn. It's a big location, but so much resistance. However, a week before the end of April, so a month ago yesterday, end of April, first in-person festival, I had a lady from Buckinghamshire Libraries. I'd love to volunteer. Can I get involved? I'll get everybody. I'll get all the details for the next one. I've got all the details. The libraries will have posters up, and they'll do this and they'll do that. And I had an email on Friday, which I'm going to reply to tonight or in the morning, from Aylesbury Town Council. We'd love to help you. There are 5 things we can do. We can do some workshops. We can do this, that, and the other for you as an author, and also to help promote Self Pub Fest. So finally,
it just strikes me that in Redditch, and I'm not going to harp on about Redditch. I lived in Birmingham for a long time. I went to school in Birmingham, but in Redditch we've got tens of writers who just want to get together, but there seems to be so many obstacles in their way, not least of all just simply not publicizing anything at all, that it's very difficult to get anything off the ground. I don't really want to be the one that has to reorganize this, because I've got my own work to do. And but we don't.
Yeah, we are more fortunate these days to have so many opportunities online, because we've got local Facebook groups. There's a community website called Nextdoor. I think it's .co.uk or .com. I think it's not .co.uk. And so there are ways we can advertise things. To the point, I was in the Facebook.
These things can grow organically. If you want to run a writer's workshop or have a writer's workshop, you only need half a dozen people. In fact, if it gets too big, you have to split into two, don't you? Because by the time 20 people have had their say, that's the whole day gone. But Newsfeed to Authors was just Andy and I happened to start talking about it, formed a group of 2 people, and then it just grew organically from word of mouth.
Exactly. They do say it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah. And we find that with our writers group, sometimes people bring friends along. I do mention it on social media, so that has sometimes attracted people too. We don't meet at the library. We used to, but the library where we met started having to charge for meeting rooms because pressure was put on them to make a more financial use of their assets.
That's how it goes.
I know, but I have to say the local libraries have been really open to having authors give talks. They're very open to that.
To be fair, I mean, I just gave my experience of Self Pub Fest, but Aylesbury, one of our local writing group chaps, Tony Flower, who was at our first one in April, he runs Aylesbury Writers Forum, and we're in one corner of the main area of the normally the first Friday of the month, and we're there for an hour. 11 till 12, and that's free. But that's actually getting so big that he's now talking about either splitting it into 2, because they would charge to have a room. So they are having said they've really not been supportive of this. They let him have that space every month, and so that's brilliant. And we have author talks. I've been there for author talks as well, which is how I knew of Dan Burford. He's just come on board, and he'll be there in October, be on one of the panels in October.
There is a big thing going on in Redditch at the moment with regard to a Redditch bid. They want to try and up the profile of arts in Redditch, and I approached the guy. He said, "Yes, but you're not painting, are you?" He says, "You can't have books in there because it's not really art. You're not crocheting or knitting or making anything, are you?" And I showed him the books I was making. He said, "Yeah, but that's not for us."
Utterly weird.
Yeah,
we are the arts.
Yeah, well, banging our heads against a brick wall sometimes, and it kind of hurts at the moment. So I'm not bothering anymore.
Yeah, but good on you, Ryan, because at least you asked, and if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah. I've got a meeting in, I think it's 3 weeks' time with our local MP.
Okay, good.
With regard to the Town of Culture bid for 2028. Right. So I'm going to get in with that. I've also got a meeting with one of the Redditch's load of villages. One of the villages just down the road. I was talking to their councillor, so I'm going to expand my interest there as well, because we need to show these people, and there are a lot of them who are sitting in wheelchairs, sitting watching TV, sitting bringing up children, sitting unable to get out, that there is life beyond their front door. And that's why we joined writing groups, because we wanted to get out and meet people.
Yeah, no, exactly. And this apparently, I didn't find out this until partway into the year, that 2026 is the National Year of Reading. And yeah, I don't hear, certainly locally, I don't hear a lot about it.
No.
But nationally, again, whether it's just something that, because when you're on Facebook and other social media, you get what you're chosen to be shown. So,
yeah, reading and writing are so important to well-being, and the more that message gets out there, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Helen, have you found any downsides of belonging to writing groups? Or anything you think, well, this could be done? Because it's very much, I've found in the past, sort of, there'll be one person who likes to take charge, who's a force de majeure, and that can put some people I know who've gone for an evening and been quite intimidated for one reason or another, whether it's the whole thing or anybody in particular, and so it's quite a fine balance, I think, with finding like-minded people. And you're always going to have one person who is in charge, and a balance between personalities, as Ryan said, in his groups.
I ended up being in charge because I was the person with the Zoom account in 2020, and I ended up organising the meetings after that. So that's probably the only downside. I'm lazier than Ryan, so I'm not going to organise workshops and all sorts. We just have a meeting once a month on the first Saturday afternoon of the month. All writers of all levels are welcome to come along. They're welcome to bring work if they want to. They're welcome not to if they don't want to, because just turning up to give feedback on other people's work is good. And they have to be open to giving feedback and then sitting down and doing a bit of writing.
Where does that take place?
It often takes place at a cafe called the Cafe at the New Room, which is attached to John Wesley's New Room in Bristol city centre. But we've got a member who's got access to a fantastic work studio space. So we always meet at his work if he's able to join us for the meeting. If he isn't, then he can't quite fix it so that we can have his workspace, unfortunately. But the cafe is very pleasant, good cakes, always a plus when you're looking for a venue.
Absolutely. Yes. Which David, you are at the moment for these, is it this for the fiction group? You're looking, I think there was something in the feed about looking for new.
Yeah, we met in Sturchley, the British Oak. It happened to be the evening of the Villa game, which we didn't realise. The place was completely packed, and two of us had never met before. So we had issues. It was a sitcom of people trying to get around this pub and find each other and failing.
A writer's group sitcom. You have to write it, David. Do it.
Yeah. And then he went out because he couldn't find us. He went outside, and the bouncers wouldn't let him back in.
Oh no!
So he wasn't allowed in because it was full. But we were in the Snug, which is a room for like 25 people, and there were only three of us. So it was ludicrous. So we need to find somewhere a little bit closer to town that's quiet, and that's a bit of a contradiction, isn't it? But then people like Helen could make it, Jill could make it, and so on. So we're looking for the right place to meet.
Do you still write script? Because I know you were in Grayson Theatre. I ask mainly because you just mentioned sitcoms. That this Thursday is the topic is script writing, and I don't have anybody signed up to it yet.
Oh well, I could talk about that Thursday.
Okay. Thursday before our normal one, 6 till 6:45.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, okay. I'm just looking at my calendar to see what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
6th of Thursday. I might be very distracted, but yeah, sure. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Send me a reminder.
I know nothing. I did NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, which sadly is defunct, used to have a script frenzy on, I think that was April, which then turned into Camp NaNoWriMo, so a smaller NaNoWriMo. And I did a script. I'd written not a very good novella. No, I did it for Script Frenzy and then converted it from a not very good script to a not very good novella about a personal trainer. And that was my one and only. And because I love dialogue, I'd have a whole novel full of dialogue if I could. And so I loved it from a dialogue point of view, but I found it very bitty because you have the who's saying it and stage direction. And so it was the format for me was a little bit distracting. But yeah,
our last 2,000 words was dialogue.
Have you?
Yeah, the last 2,000 word submission we did was dialogue, and the theme was write a conversation with at least 3 people without naming them and using said tags.
Yes.
So that you understand who's speaking and when they're speaking.
Right.
And that was quite difficult.
Yes.
3 is difficult. Yeah.
I say
good discipline.
Up to 6. Yes, really good. Up to 6 sets of before you have character picking up a mug or at least something. Joe took a sip of coffee.
Well, talking about writers groups, I went to the NaNoWriMo group in Birmingham when it was running, and that was surreal because I was downstairs at a cafe and I went downstairs to their area. It was packed. there must have been 30, 40 people there, but it was completely quiet. They're all sitting there on their laptops.
Actually writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to one in one of the cafes, I think it was Starbucks in Escape in the Snowdome in Milton Keynes, when I lived in Northampton. And we chatted a bit before then. And there was, I remember there was a woman who, it's the organizer, I think, who had the biggest mug of coffee, because you can take your own, the biggest mug of coffee I'd ever seen. And she has six of those a day.
I mean, I didn't know this was actual writing session, so I hadn't brought my laptop.
Oh.
And I was just standing there going, well, I have nothing to do. I could be at home writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wednesday one that we used to do was just a theme, and then just sit there and get on with it. Everyone just sticks their headphones in, gets their laptop out, and gets on with it.
Yeah.
I can't see why you would do that. But each to their own, isn't it? You've got to find a writers group that that suits your purposes, that you like.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. We have.
I'd rather write here in my room.
Hello, John Moore.
Hello, John.
We're just. I've asked him to unmute. We're just winding down.
Oh, bye.
Bye. Bye.
Well, you can tell us. You can tell. I'm boiling because I've got the light on and the door shut. Yes, we were just saying the downsides of belonging to a writing group, but we'll go back slightly. John, for you, why did you join a writing group? What was your inspiration? Where were you at in your career? And
at the very beginning,
right,
knowing nothing, thought if I join a group, I could at least get some tips, and I'm still waiting.
Right.
Joke. No, that's why. Yeah, so I'm in 2 writing groups.
What NSA and New Street Authors and
Castle Writers in Dudley.
Okay.
So yeah, and 2 totally different groups.
Yeah. Tell us about the Castle. I'm using my Buckinghamshire accent. The Castle writers. What's their format?
Their format is basically female poetry. There's one other guy who's actually had published books who comes occasionally because he's mainly living in France over here. Right. There's me that's published. One other lady has published a novel many years ago, and she's just got it back. She's just having it rewritten and hopefully to publish again, but they don't really know how to publish on Amazon. She got somebody to do it for her many years ago. Yeah. So with the little knowledge I've got, I'm just trying to tell them about it. They publish a yearly anthology. One lady does all the editing and formatting. It's not the greatest, to be honest. There's lots of half words, hyphenated words that don't need to be. Okay. They started on page 1 and it was numbered page 2. So, there's lots of little errors like that. They didn't
flip the different title page.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know when New Street Authors do their anthologies, at least it's a good published book. Whereas theirs is more like a little part-time thrown together little publication, really, to be honest.
Well, you were talking about editing earlier on, and I said that I edit for the 100th reader because 99 readers won't notice, but there'll always be one who does.
Yeah, that's right.
So maybe it's a book for the 99 readers. You just want something to switch off and enjoy the read. I love your T-shirt.
Oh yeah, vintage.
Yeah. Do you read Douglas Adams, John?
No.
Okay, so you won't know what the towel day is. Apparently it's towel day, and I know the significance of the towel, but I don't know why today is the towel day. It's Monday the 25th. That's okay.
No, I know nothing.
We may go off and Google it.
Okay. I am.
After this.
Oh, good.
Are you? Well done, Ryan.
There's a Wikipedia page on it.
Okay.
Did you write it?
What, me? The Wikipedia page now.
Yeah, David is responsible or co-responsible for the Drabble in your university days. The 100 word story, which I only learned recently, having after setting up Self Pub Fest and meeting David, that because I have written a drabble about writing a lady called Margaret writing a drabble.
Oh yes, the origin story.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt. Tal Day
Okay,
basically is regarding the death of Douglas Adams. It was commemorated on first on the 25th of May 2001, 2 weeks after he died. So it has no other meaning than to commemorate Douglas Adams.
Right. Who had a heart attack on a treadmill. So good
There's a
reason
lesson there.
not exercise. There we go. So we've had John. Do tell us, because you're later to the party. Thankfully, as
No
you know,
problem.
as you know, we probably would still be talking.
Yeah.
So tell us about you and your writing. We'll go. John, Ryan, David, Helen. Do tell us what you have published so far and what you're working on now.
So you want me to start? Yeah.
Yes, do.
Okay. I started to write children's books, or a children's book, and it developed and developed into 2 books, and I thought I could expand this, and I did, to 10 books. Now 3 have been published, 4th one is 3/4 the way there, and I've started little bits on all the others because I've already got the idea for the ending book, so I'm building up to that. So hopefully there should be 10 books in the series.
Great.
Another publication I've done was one called The Perfume Bottle, which was inspired by me finding my mother's perfume bottle in my dad's stuff when he died 2 years ago. And I opened it up and she was there, and that just sparked something. I'm currently midway through a trilogy called Tattoo, which I think some of the group know about as well. And I haven't got a tattoo. I don't know anything about tattoos. I just thought there's got to be a seedy side to the business, and it's developing into a trilogy with possibly a manual at the end with documents that are related in the story. So I'm trying to build that up at the minute.
Yeah.
But I might try the Kickstarter route with that.
Good idea. Fun.
And I've got other little stories on the go, a few chapters written here and there, and I dip in, dip out as and when an idea comes. But I do like walking in the woods, and that's where some ideas come to me. So I just make a little note on my phone and try and develop that later on.
And on the lounger in your back garden. Ideal.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Yes, in the shade. How lovely. Thank you, John.
Okay.
Ryan.
Ryan,
little description about your books behind you and what you're.
Yeah, so we've got, and I can't do this. I've never been able to. When I was 5,
get the wrong sign.
A friend of my dad's took his model radio controlled boat to a lake, and he gave me the remote control. And this boat was coming towards me, and I didn't know which way to switch it. And I'm still the same now. I write 2 different series at the moment. I write the detective series, Killing by the Book, The Farm, Unnatural Selection, and An Invisible Murder. I'm actually working on the next one, which is called Correction. And I'm about 70,000 words into that now, 71,000. They're based in North London, and it's the dynamics between a team of murder investigators and a detective inspector and his sergeant. Because it gets very boring writing the same thing, I've also done an crime adventure conspiracy series, which is the Amber Rock series, where Aidan Beckett, an ex-Marine, goes to try and find out the secret behind Amber Rock before it finds him. Right. And I'm on book 3 of the 4, and the next book I'll write is the 4th one in that series.
And clearly being an ex-Marine yourself, you're writing what you know.
Yeah, that's right. I've been in the police as well. I was a detective inspector, chief superintendent, and also the guy who fixes the coffee machine when they thump it with the side of their hand. Right. So yes, I've been all of those things and none of them. The other thing I'm doing, which is interesting, is I'm publishing an anthology of the short stories that we were talking about earlier in the Redditch Writers Group. They'll be expanded up a little bit to put the things in I had to take out, but that's going to be mid-year this year.
Okay, oh great. Well, yeah. I love all I do, because my day job is editing novels. I read, and I took 7 novellas, 6 novellas and a collection of short stories on holiday, ones that I didn't mind leaving there. And I read all of them other than one, which was an Elena Ferranti, I think her name was. And it was about a daughter's relationship with her late mother. And I was partway through it, and I had quite I did have a difficult relationship with my mother, but except she didn't know that. But and it was just too close to home, so I didn't persevere with that. But I read everything else and left it for our friends who own the house that we stayed in. And so I love buying, and I buy the paperbacks so I can sit and read them. So that will be on my list when it's ready.
I frequently get requests from friends of mine who are doing what I'll never do, and that's going on cruises. And they say, can we have a book? And they take the book, they read it, and they leave it in the library on the cruise ship.
How lovely.
Yeah, it's nice.
You might be ruined. It'd be nice if you get photographs, because quite often on authors' websites, they put photographs of where readers have got their book in exotic locations.
I've got a few of those, yeah.
Have you?
I got somebody from Delaware in the United States sent me a load of stickers and said, I've got all your books, I love them. And he went through the books and saying what he liked about each one of them. He said, could you just sign the stickers so I can put them on the inside?
Yeah.
That was quite good. Bit of airmail.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. David, the master of writing different things.
Yeah, jack of all trades. What was the question? What am I working on at the moment?
Yes, your brief back catalogue, including. Do tell us about your 43-year epic book. Was it 42? 43.
When I was at university, we did start a little writers group from the Science Fiction Society. So that was critiqued 43 years ago when James and I were writing it. Right. We finally published the first one last year.
Yeah.
The second one it's a trilogy now. The second one is due out this year. I've just got one last little bit of rewriting. It's out to beta readers at the moment.
Okay.
I've got the third of a fantasy series I'm writing to finish. I've got the sequel to the Cosy Mysteries, which I'm finishing. I for very sensible, small reasons, sort of during the pandemic, I started a lot of projects, and I now need to just get things finished and get them out. So I'm writing 5 books at the same time, which I do not recommend. It is a stupid idea. 2 maybe. If one is with your editor, you can get on with the other one. 2 makes sense to me, but 5 is done.
Well, this is why I'm like a magpie. I come up with a new idea. Oh, I like that, and I get to a point where I think, okay, I've run out of what I thought about, run out of steam and interest, and another idea. And so I've got so many. I say I've got more partway through, and one of them is 105,000 word serial killer that I call my Eric Morecambe novel, because it has all the right notes, all the right words, but not necessarily in the right order. So at some point, I need to get back to that. And I've got half a revenge novel, and so on. So I've got lots of bits. But now I've decided to start a 60-book series.
Which is
maybe I should.
Madness.
It is madness, yes. But they're all different enough, although they're in the same world, and there will be some characters popping in and out. Because I have my list of 70-something characters, some of whom will become main characters. So I'm enjoying writing, but I do want, because I realised, having done WIs for the last decade, that all my characters are too young. So my I don't mention in my talk how old, mainly because I can't remember. We've lost John. How old? Can't even remember his name. Begins with an L. Liam. How old Liam is, but One for the Road is kind of my darker, not really dark, but darker novel, and that's what tends to sell best at the WIs. And so I realised that all my characters are too young. So now my all the main characters are 60 plus, and I've started with one who is she's just moved to Spain, so that's nice. So I'm 11 and a half words. There is the odd bit of Spanish, Yes, but in context, so everybody knows what it means. Yes, so that's mine. So you're working on several things at once, and you do plan to have them all published this year. You got more on the go.
I could very well publish 4 books this year, but all at the end of the year.
Okay.
Which I also think is probably a bit silly.
Well, you have to have one. John's back again. Well, you have to have one ready for October.
Yes, indeed. That's in fact the most ready.
Yes. Nothing like a deadline. Douglas Adams, I love the sound as they whoosh by.
Whoosh past, yes.
Yes.
I mean, there was a man who could have done with a writers group.
Right.
Because he was locked in a hotel room by his traditional publishers to finish his books. It must have been awful.
Yeah.
Whereas if he got a chance to meet people, he'd have been much happier, I think.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before. It might have been last year. I took Tim to. He didn't know. He knew we were going to Buckingham because he was driving, and we went to the Buckingham Literary Festival, and they had a Mick Herron who writes the Slough House Apple TV series, and he said in the Q&A, he said that his publisher, I can't remember whether it's HarperCollins or an imprint. I think it's one of the top ones anyway. They deal with all his social media because all they want to do is they want as many books from him as possible. So they interact with him occasionally and they leave him to his writing. So he doesn't have to do any social media. They probably run things past him every now and then. But he's locked away or otherwise. And all he does all day is he writes and he loves it. So he's very lucky that he has a publisher who all they want him to do is write.
I'm not sure I could live with that, to be fair.
No.
I think I like a bit of space in between the writing.
Yes. But so many, we've learned, haven't we, how much marketing there is to do.
Oh, yes.
Or should be doing. And even now I'm thinking I've only got one person in my poetry on tomorrow evening. So I really should be putting out online. I have Excel spreadsheets for pretty much everything. So I have a self-pub fest. And one of the worksheets is advertising. And I've got little Twitter versions because you can only go up to whatever it is, 240 characters, and the right hashtags and so on and so forth. So all the links to the Facebook groups and when I posted them. So in theory, that makes life quicker because all I need to do is copy and click on the link, copy and paste and put the date in. But I have to, it takes a while to set it all up. And then I kind of think I'd rather be right.
We had a speaker once who was talking about how to automate that. They were using a program where you just add it in once and then it will do it.
Yes, there are.
Sky,
I used to
Twitter,
use
Facebook.
Hootsuite. I have a list somewhere of the ones that do that for you, where you can just do it. But I've been in the Facebook sin bin too often, which I think 3 times. And apparently I've heard that they start off on a day and then I think they ban you for 3 days. And about a month leading up to the Self-Pub Fest in January, I was kicked out for a week. So I don't want to therefore be kicked out for any longer than a week. So I have to be very careful about what I do. But that's just Facebook. I don't think...
they don't tell you the rules, do they?
No.
Until you fall foul of them.
And they also pirated my book, so...
Did they? Oh, yeah.
And mine. 5 of mine.
Let's not get started on that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can tell you about my books before we finish, if you like.
Yes.
This is the new one. Yes, do.
So this is my latest one, a psychological thriller set in Bristol. I write psychological thrillers about women finding strength in the face of danger. And there tends to be a theme of lies. So I'm working on another one at the moment involving liars and lies.
And this is your what book?
That's my 12th.
Blimey. You've got a lot. I hadn't realised you got 12.
Not as many as David, and not as varied as David, it has to be said.
And they're all standalones, aren't they, these? You have a series.
The last 5 have been standalones. I wrote a series before then, but found that tied me down too much, which is why I'm reluctant to write a series again. I realised that it is a better way to make writing profitable. In fact, the first thing that anybody in the New Street Authors said to me was, "Do you write a series?" Funnily enough.
Well, I do both. So I have standalones, one for the road after Jessica and Hitman Sam as standalones. And then I've got 5, 6 of the Henry ones, the dog detective. But that's one full novel and then novelettes, sort of 15, 20,000 thereafter. The latest of which is Henry Goes to the Cinema, The Case of the Rogue Llama, which came back from my editor in November 2024. And it's less than 20,000 words and I've done nothing with it. So shame on me, that's on my jobs list to do.
Absolutely shame on you. We all want to hear about the Rogue Llama.
Thank you. Yes, no, yeah, it's fun. And it shouldn't, he's an Oxford comma editor, whereas I'm not an Oxford comma editor. Put a comma in if it doesn't make sense to split up your I can't even remember the word of it, your phrases within my brain's fried. And
I was talking to David about this yesterday or the day before.
Oh, we were, weren't we?
Yeah.
Whether to use an Oxford comma or not.
No, about what that phrase was.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember. Dependent clauses or something, isn't it?
Some clauses.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
On Helen's point about series, virtually every book event I go to where I've got my books out on my book stand, people will come up and buy the whole series of the Daily and Whetstones. They won't try and find which one they want. They'll just say, "Oh no, I'll take all of them."
Fantastic.
So I can sell 2 or 3 series in an event.
I have heard that some people don't start a series until there are at least 3 books.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, because I'm also writing the 3rd of that one.
I had a fan who, my adventure series is 5 books, and he read them in reverse order.
Oh.
There's always one.
Go figure.
So you have more.
So when people say, can I read these in any order? I say, well, he read them in absolutely the wrong order.
How funny. How funny.
But the first 7 of my children's books, you can read in any order because it all happens in the same timeline. So.
Oh, I'm going to ask him. I'm going to be 60 next August, next year. And we go to an Italian restaurant. So normally I go and see my uncle on a Friday for coffee. And there's one Friday he can't do because he has a reminiscence group that he goes to. And so the day after, the Saturday after the 3rd Friday, we go to the local restaurant. And in the ladies, there is a poster, not dissimilar from yours, the other way around, of the Amalfi Coast.
Oh, that one.
Yes. And so I'm going to say,
I can't do that.
I've never been to Italy. I'd love to go to Italy. I don't speak Italian, so that's my project between now and another one, as well as get my Eric Morecambe novel finished, is to learn enough Italian, so that when we
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno, come sta?
Come sta?
Prego.
Molto bene, grazie.
Molto bene. Exactly. And so, yes, between now and August of next year, to learn Italian. Oh, Ryan's got something.
I've got my rather phallic pizza, taro pizza, as my kids call it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody. It's been fab. Thank you, Helen, David, Ryan, John.
Apologies for being late.
Always a pleasure. And I thought this was going to be a quick. We aim for 45 minutes. But invariably they do run over. I only need to be here on my own. Well, I don't actually. I keep them quite short on my own. But yeah, we do often run over. So thank you everybody for staying with for the duration and your input. And it's always interesting. You kind of think that people join writing groups for various reasons. And thank you, Ryan, for coming up with some. Because I thought if I say what's the downside of writing groups, that nobody would say, well, there isn't any. But it's always a pleasure. So thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank
emailing you with the link. This will go up shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.